I still remember the smell of the hospital room, bleach and sorrow. I was sitting beside my mother, watching her breathe slower and slower until her chest stopped moving altogether. Just like that, she was gone. Cancer didn't ask permission, it just took. I was 13, and just like that, I had no one. My dad had died when I was 6, a car accident that left nothing but broken glass and silence. After that, it was just me and mom, trying to make ends meet, surviving on instant noodles and bedtime hugs. When she died, I was tossed into the system. No one from my dad's side stepped up. The only person who showed any interest was my mother's younger brother, Uncle Ray. I barely remembered him. He lived out in the countryside, in this weirdly quiet 2-story house surrounded by trees that looked like they were always watching. He wore a fake smile when I arrived. "We'll figure it out," he said. I had no idea I had just walked into the darkest chapter of my life. At first, it wasn't what you'd call horrible. Cold, maybe. Quiet. Ray didn't talk much. He mostly just gave instructions. Rules. No phones after 7. No locking doors. No visitors. No staying up late. And definitely no calling people without telling him first. I told myself it was just structure. He didn't know how to raise a teenager. Maybe he was trying in his own weird way. But then he started looking at me differently. Not like a guardian. More like I wasn't a person. Like I was something else. The stares lasted too long. The compliments turned into something twisted. "You're growing into a woman," he'd say. "You're prettier than your mother ever was." At night, I locked my door with furniture even though it technically broke his rules. I didn't feel safe. I couldn't explain it. I just knew something was wrong. It happened late one night. I woke up and saw him standing at the foot of my bed. He reeked of alcohol. I was too scared to scream. He sat down, and what followed was something I can't describe without my hands shaking, even now. I remember how cold the room felt. How quiet. I remember staring at the ceiling, trying to pretend I wasn't there. After, he whispered in my ear, "This is our little secret. No one would believe you anyway." I didn't cry out loud. I just lay there, holding my stuffed cat, Luna, and let the silence swallow me. That was the first time. It wasn't the last. After that, I stopped being a person. I became a ghost. He kept doing it. Some nights he didn't. Other nights I could hear him walking up the stairs and I'd pray. Not even to God, just to anyone listening to make him stop. At school, I was as straight a student who said nothing. No friends. No hobbies. Just silence. The teachers noticed. One counselor asked if I was okay. I smiled and said I was tired. Because what was I supposed to say? I'm being raped every week by the man who's supposed to take care of me. That's not how the world works. Not for girls like me. Not when he's charming to social workers and always shows up to parent-teacher conferences on time. So I stayed quiet, but inside, I started building something. By the time I was 16, I stopped crying. I stopped begging. I stopped hoping. But I started planning. I read books. Psychology. Trauma recovery. Criminal law. I studied abusers. How they think. How they operate. How they get away with it. I studied the justice system too. Learned how often it fails. But most of all, I studied him. I started keeping records. A secret journal hidden behind a panel in the attic. Dates. Times. His words. His patterns. Even drawings of the house. Where the creaky floorboards were. Where I could hide things. He had no idea I was becoming something dangerous. One day, I found something in the attic, a dusty old camcorder. Miraculously, it still worked. I tested it, charged it, found a hiding spot in my bedroom angled at the door. And I waited. It took 3 weeks. But then, one night, he came in again. And this time, I had him on camera. I didn't even cry afterward. I just pressed stop, took the memory card, and backed it up, 5 times. One copy I mailed to a girl I had met online through a survivor forum. She lived 5 states away. I also started recording audio on my phone whenever he was in the house. I created a digital file labeled math homework and stored the audio there. Every secret became evidence. Every night became a step closer to freedom. On my 18th birthday, I made him breakfast. He looked pleased with himself. "You're turning into such a beautiful woman," he said, as if the years of abuse were some twisted kind of grooming. I smiled. I told him I'd been accepted to college in another city. That I wanted to start over. I told him I forgave him. And he believed me. That night, I contacted a journalist, a woman who had written a piece about abuse survivors not being believed. I sent her everything. The videos, the notebooks, the recordings, the timeline, and a short letter that simply read, "Please don't let him do this to anyone else." She called me the next morning. She cried on the phone. She said, "You are the strongest person I've ever spoken to." I didn't feel strong. I just felt ready. 2 weeks later, it hit the news. Teen girl records 5 years of sexual abuse. Uncle arrested after explosive evidence comes to light. Police raided the house. He was in his bathrobe when they dragged him out. I watched the footage from a safe house. I didn't feel joy. Not yet. Just release. He tried to deny everything. Said the videos were fake. Said I was mentally unstable. Said I came onto him. But none of it worked. Because I had everything. He was sentenced to 37 years without parole. I didn't cry when the judge read the sentence. I just sat there, holding Luna in my lap. It took me years to feel real again. I moved to the city, started college, went to therapy, real therapy, not just talking, but unraveling every knot inside me. I made friends. I even laughed again, but I still wake up some nights, breathing fast, reaching for Luna to make sure I'm not back in that house. I wrote my story down in a book. It hit the bestseller list. I used the money to build something I wish I had when I was younger, a home for girls escaping abuse. I called it Luna House. Because in my darkest moments, she was the only one who stayed. Sometimes people ask me, how did you survive? How did you keep going? And I always give the same answer. Because I had to. But this silence was killing me. Because I knew the day I stopped being afraid would be the day he lost. And he did lose. I didn't just survive him. I ended him. Now, when I speak, people listen. When I walk like someone who earned every step. I was once a broken girl in a locked room. Now, I am the one with the key. And I will never be quiet again.